papers, drinking good Arab tea. I'm your host for today, Fawzi Musmar.
And I'm Rami Ismail.
And inshallah, there'll be a third one today.
Inshallah, Osama.
Inshallah.
Although Osama is, I think Osama is on Arab time today.
It's really difficult to run a podcast with three Arabs.
It's the practicalities.
The practicalities of people showing up on time just goes out the window.
You just gotta kind of go inshallah, and we kind of go for it. Yeah.
So Osama might join this episode. We don't know. He might just pop out of nowhere as we're talking, or he might just, completely Arab time it and not
just
appear.
Show up in like 2 hours. If he does, I'll ask him to record a little thing for after the episode. He'll be like, "Hi, I'm here."
He made it. Oh man.
It's such a bad idea to start a podcast with three Arabs.
It's a miracle we've made it this far. I was talking about it. I was doing a talk. I forget if it was yesterday or the day before, and I was like, part of the, I'm talking about like introducing myself, and then I'm talking about the podcast. And I usually say it's the three of us, and we got together and we talk about Arab culture. And I added yesterday, and it's a miracle so far that we haven't missed a week.
Right. It's honestly impressive because I do the same thing, and it's honestly I've been really surprised by how wide the podcast goes. Like I was in Develop Brighton 2 or 3 weeks ago, and somebody just walked up to me and was like, "I'm a huge fan of the podcast."
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, cool! Like people are listening to it, which is cool.
Yeah.
But also we're managing to keep it up despite all of us having pretty busy lives.
Like, oh my god, yes, it's
all the time.
It's kind of crazy. Like all of us are nonstop. We're doing talks and presentations and full-time jobs and companies and God knows what. And
also the podcast.
And also the podcast weekly. I mean, like we could have done it monthly, but we're like, no, we'll do it every week.
Like, how about every week? Every week's fine. I mean, it started obviously during COVID, so everybody had time.
Yeah. It's good if we can maintain it. Like I had also like some of the students yesterday. I was doing a lecture at the Berlin Games Academy, and they were like, "Oh, the Habibis! Of course, we love the show." So it's kind of it's reaching further out than I'm expecting, and that always a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Plus, I think like honestly, for me, every week this is like a highlight. I just like catching up with you two.
Yeah, same. Like just hearing what you're up to.
Usually it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And I'm happy like now we're coming back to the point in which like when you and I and Osama like get on the call, we'll be like, all right, so which country are you all at today?
Right.
Because every week it could be different.
Right. I think the next recording we do, I'll be in Norway.
In Norway, huh? Coming close to Sweden again.
Yeah, I can see if I can hop by Stockholm.
Oh, that would be nice. I'm sticking around for at least until the 16th in Stockholm. Because I don't know if you heard, but I have a big release coming up.
You have a big release coming up. Yeah, stuff is happening.
Oh my God, man. Like you're talking about busy weeks. So like this week, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, inshallah, if it comes out this Friday, Inshallah, we'll see. If it comes out on Friday the 12th, that will be the day in which like Battlefield 2042 is available for all early access subscribers. So
yeah, early access is happening.
Yeah, so that will be the game. And I think like, a bunch of reviewers would have had their hands on it and we'll start reading people's reviews on the internet and stuff like that. So it is terrifying week. Like I'm super excited. I'm very proud, but So
I cannot imagine. I mean, like obviously the longest game I've done was Nuclear Throne, and that was 4 years. But we were in early access since like month 6.
Wow!
So for us, there was never like the big. Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
It was like it's kind of ongoing. People like it. Yeah, okay. People still like it. Okay, alhamdulillah. Like what just keep making. But like this must be it's good that you have this like excitement and pride about it, because
Yeah.
moments like this are really emotionally heavy.
Oh my god,
Uh,
it's a life milestone, man. Like
right.
like for every game release, and especially like a big game release like this, it'll be like life before that game and after that
Right.
game, and
It's
you
really
probably have
true.
stuff like come up, and like you see that with my friends in the development scene anywhere in the world. There's always like, I want to make this big life decision. Maybe after the game ships,
Right. Right.
like it's kind of like this big milestone that kind of like
It's
defines a lot of what goes before or after it.
it's true. It's also that when you think about it, so much of my life is segmented into games, right?
Yeah,
Like when I talk about the past, you're basically talking about either, in my case, partner that you're with,
yeah,
or a game that you're making,
yeah.
right? Like, oh yeah, no, I was working on Ridiculous Fishing at the time, and it's like, yeah, that means 2011 to 2013 approximately.
Puts it in a time box.
But I just say, yeah, I was working on Ridiculous Fishing during that time,
Yeah,
because it's very all encompassing.
yeah. And you put your heart and soul into the game you're making, so it's also like a very heavy emotional experience. Yeah, so I just can't wait. I can't wait to like to
I
see like what crazy things people are gonna do. I'm very
Yeah,
excited to get to play with you two.
yeah,
Get
yeah.
get to squad up and like get up to some shenanigans. I think that'll be a bunch of
That
fun.
sounds great. That sounds awesome. Yeah,
Uh,
I think I have it pre-ordered, so that
oh,
should be good.
wonderful! Awesome.
Well, I mean, you were working on it. Of course, I was going to pre. Come
Aw.
on, it's like that's industry rules. Like,
Oh, Rami. That's amazing,
uh,
man. But yeah,
yeah,
so
I'm
like
excited to play.
that's this Friday, and then the Friday after that, the 16th, is the
Is
worldwide launch date. So that's
the
when like
full
really
thing.
open the floodgates
Cool.
and everybody starts playing. So
So yeah, I'm guessing you're anticipating a busy week, in
um,
terms of like just keeping track of stuff
just
and like
keeping
seeing
track
how
of
things are.
stuff at this point, right?
Right.
So like
Yeah.
the build is off into the ether. Everything's
Yeah.
has been good. Now we are just on monitoring and trying to like to back end stuff and just see
Right.
and people's
Yeah.
reactions and reading stuff online, and yeah.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited, and yeah,
Whew.
maybe give an update about how things go the week after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Cool.
But that
Wow. Yeah.
also,
That
it gave me some opportunity, since the build is out and all of this, like it gives me a bunch of free time to play some video games. I don't know
you
if
had a life this week.
I had a life.
Wow.
I had a pretty good life that I spent a lot of it playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, I've been playing that too.
Rami, I think this game, I haven't finished it yet. I think I'm like 12 hours in or so,
Right.
but I think this game could be my game of the year.
It is remarkably well done for a game where I personally am not the big, like the mechanics are good,
Yeah,
but the world is amazing.
it's so good. So I like Guardians of the Galaxy, but like they're
Right.
not like my favorite Marvel
Right.
series. They're like the fun goofball group of people that I enjoy.
Right.
So like I had very little expectation of this game, not because of anything. I felt like it was kind of low key in terms of how it was marketed and. Just the IP itself, it's not like when you think Marvel, you think Captain America, you think Iron Man, then a bunch of other superheroes, then Guardians of the Galaxy, probably.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
oh my
Fair.
god, this is probably some of the best writings, like work that's been done by the narrative team has been just incredible.
Yeah.
Probably some of the best writing I've seen in a video game in a
Yeah, and
long time.
it's from the start. It's like as
Yes,
soon as you hit like mission 2 or something, it gets good, right? Like
yes,
the start was a little like it's a little clunky. I'm not quite feeling it, and then like immediately, like 20 minutes in, the game is like, nope. Here's what we're doing. We're
yeah.
doing it with confidence. Let's go.
The dialogue is funny, man. Like
So good.
it's so hard for a video game to make you laugh, but many situations in this game is making me laugh, laugh hysterically at situations that are happening. Like
But also genuinely had a number of like, "Aw,"
Yeah, also like a lot of
right,
emotional, heartfelt moment.
right,
This ragtag team of heroes, like, they also have inner conflicts. They disagree with each other. They support each other. They're at odds with each other. They feel
right.
like their relationship feels very real.
Like there's this moment very to not spoil further into the game. I haven't finished it either. I think I'm
Mhm.
I'm pretty much around where you are, but there's this moment very early on in the game where you end up kind of stuck with like a child,
Ah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the child has issues with her mom,
hmm
and you just kind of get to choose whether you like side with the mom or the kid.
yeah.
And it is so surprisingly genuine that I was just like, huh. I stuck up for the kid, by the way. Like, there's
Yeah,
no way around it.
I did too.
Yeah, I like that.
We both have
That's
authority issues, Rami.
right.
Who would have thought?
both both raised by parents,
Both raised by air parents, and we have
sneaking
authority issues.
around. Yeah.
What a surprise!
So I obviously stuck up for the kid,
Of course,
and it was so genuine that I genuinely had like a little like, "Aw," you
yeah.
know.
It's
Um,
delightful, and like a lot of these decisions, that's also one of the things. So I've watched very little coverage about this game before it comes out, not for anything except I was like super busy with
right,
working on the
right,
game and all of this. But like the game comes out and I'm playing it, and then there's like decision points that happen, which became kind of common in like AAA games.
hmm,
But this game nails it. Like those decisions feel weighty. They feel difficult to make sometimes.
right,
And like they do the Walking Dead thing where there's a timer running out and you need to make a choice. Will you support this person over that
right.
person? Are we doing this over that? Are
Or
we
in my case, if you're not sure, hit the PlayStation button and sit and think for a second while the game is paused in the background.
Yeah, I should have done that. I don't think I
Right.
have. I just
There's a few choices where I'm like, nope, 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 not making this choice quick.
I just went in and like, am I gonna hide the llama or gonna hide the guns? I don't know what I'm And like, I wish Osama was here because like that llama, first of all, reminded me of
Right.
him the entire time.
Me too. I did the same. I'm like, should I hide Osama or should I hide the weapons? That's like a literal thought I had.
and like, and it's one of the goofiest looking characters. That just like the sounds it makes, and its face just makes me laugh. It's
Right.
such a funny designed character, and the
Yep.
role it plays in the game is superb. So I was like,
Yep.
okay, so like this world is masterfully constructed.
Right.
The narrative is beautifully told. The voice acting is incredible. These characters never shut up. They'll never give you a moment. They're always talking
Right.
to each other, which is, perfect to the source material. So I was like, all right, so now let's get into the combat then.
Yeah.
And then as I start playing the combat, at first I was like, okay, I'm not really sure what this is supposed to do
Right.
until I got my full squad together.
Mhm,
And all of
mhm.
a sudden, I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is more Final Fantasy VII Remake than I thought it is.
Right. Yeah.
Because
I
it's not necessarily about controlling the main character only, it's also managing the cooldown and issuing commands to the rest of my group
yeah.
is the way that I can control the battlefield.
I felt it closer to Final Fantasy 15, right? The Noctis
Mhm.
and Prompto and Ignis and Gladio, where you're basically in control of Noctis,
Yeah.
but you're pointing your allies out as to like do this, do that.
Yeah.
I will admit I enjoy the general flow of combat. I think it's a little clunky at times.
Mhm.
It's that I think the moment to moment gameplay is definitely the least polished part of the video game. That said, it's still very entertaining,
Yeah.
right? Like, and every now and then you just get things going, and like a battle just flows perfectly, and you're just making things happen, and just chaos is everywhere,
Yeah,
and
I found those moments to be immensely satisfying. So, like,
those are really good.
when I managed to really chain a combo in the right way. So, like, I send Groot to kind of stun everybody in an area. Then I have Rocket throw a grenade on everybody, and then I jump in. I fly in and I do this area of effect attack, and all of
Yep.
a sudden, like, 8 enemies melt when I do
Yep.
this proper execution attack. I found that really good.
Yep.
And also, like, very satisfying when I'm, like, issuing the commands to my peeps as I'm shooting at the same time. And there's this ability on one of the perks that you pick up very early on, in which,
Yeah.
like, after your gun heats up, you have to click the
The
trigger
perfect reload.
again at the
Yeah.
right time, get the perfect reload to do a burst attack.
Yeah.
And, like, flying over the battlefield, shooting people, issuing the command, and then hitting that perfect reload while doing a last minute dodge.
Yep.
If you can orchestrate that chain and, like, you get good at the flow of combat, it is immensely satisfying.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot. There were actually, like, I think, sequences in the game in which, like, you were not supposed to fight the hordes of enemy. You're supposed to, like, fight them a little bit and then run away.
And then run away.
And then
Yeah,
I
but you did it anyway.
only realized 15 minutes later that I was supposed to run away because I was so caught up in I'm just killing everybody and just shooting at them
Right.
and all of that.
Right. Yeah, no, it's. I honestly, from the early coverage I'd seen, my disposition towards the game was actually that it was not going to be good.
Yeah.
Like the stories I'd heard were kind of like maybe a bit of a troubled production. The early videos I saw were a little like not the most interesting. But yeah, when you're in the pilot seat, it really works.
Yeah. And it's so good, man. Like, I remember, like, in back in the cartridge days, in which, like, or maybe, like, even a little bit beyond that, IP
So when
based games.
Osama was 20, 30 years
When
old,
Osama was just, like, made his third game or so.
right, right,
um, like, IP based games, they were not given that love and attention. Because
no,
at the time, they used to think that, well, the game is gonna sell based on its IP anyway, so we don't really need to spend a lot of money or the same amount of money that we put in dev of an original IP as we would in a
for
shelved
sure,
IP. So there was a lot of, like, Marvel games and X-Men games and all of that that were inoffensive, I
mediocre,
give.
right,
Yeah, they were,
yeah,
like, they were okay games, but the masterpieces of that era used to always come from somewhere else, not from an IP based game. And I remember,
yeah.
like, when the first Spider-Man on the PlayStation, like, that came with the Sam Raimi movie came out, that was, like, one of the first, like, really good
I
IP
mean,
games.
the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fighter game was pretty good.
That's pretty true. The Konami
What
one,
was it? The tournament one?
the tournament one. No, I thought you were
I
talking
like that.
about Turtles in Time.
Oh, Turtles in Time was also good.
Yeah, Turtles in Time was good.
Basically, just all IP games were bad except for Ninja Turtles ones.
It was a hit and miss, is basically what
Right,
I wanted to say. In which, like,
right.
uh, you never knew how things are gonna go. And I really like in the modern era because it's so expensive to make a AAA game, and also, like, those IPs have become conglomerate, multiverse, all sorts of
Right.
media coming out of them, that there's a lot of love and attention being poured into the games that they're doing. So, like, the Spider-Man games are amazing. This game is incredible, and, like, I'm super excited about the upcoming Wolverine games. All the most recent Star Wars games are really fun to play and all of that. So it's a good time.
Yeah,
It's a good
it's a
time
good time.
for
I mean,
like Marvel games and Disney games
uh,
generally.
honestly, IP games, the Lego games are consistently great to
That's
me.
true. That's
Like,
true.
I love when Lego does any take on any IP because it usually just ends up being a silly but wonderful time.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Guardians has a sheen to it, like a polish.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels very for the type of game it is. It feels very sincere and very well realized.
Yeah. It's really one
Um,
of the few games this year that I couldn't stop playing.
yeah,
Like, I couldn't put the controller down the entire time. I'm having fun, and I want to know what's gonna happen next. Like
Yeah.
the story is very captivating, and and the stakes are high.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Super
Oh,
good.
yeah, I'm. Hopefully, we'll finish it, and hopefully, Osama's playing it as well, because maybe we can talk about some more next week.
Yeah, exactly. By then I would have finished it. I think. I mean, like
Yeah, me too.
I don't think it will survive till the weekend because I can't wait till I finish work to just jump in and play a little bit of that game. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely gonna be done. Um, I've played another game.
Okay.
Also slightly. It's becoming my in between sessions game.
Okay.
It's called Riders Republic.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Haven't played that.
This is made by Ubisoft Annecy. So those, I mean, like when it's a Ubisoft game, there's a bunch of studios that worked on this,
Right.
but like led the development, I think, is Ubisoft Annecy.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same peeps that made Steep.
Yep. 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 Yep.
I never played Steep actually back in the day. So
I played Steep a little bit, but it turns out that somehow being able to warp all across the mountain at any given point wasn't really fun.
okay,
So I just kind of played it, and then I went like, yeah, okay, I can
hmm
move around,
yeah,
and then never really got into the flow of it. Which normally I like games like that, but that one just kind of like, I don't know, if something felt a little flat.
okay.
For a game about snowboarding, flat is probably bad. So
Do you snowboard by any chance?
I don't. I don't. I
Yeah,
just I really liked snowboard games since like early like SSX
SSX
and like
stuff.
right where you just kind of grow up with them, and
Yeah,
there's something about it, about like the way you move through the snow, and like the speed, and like the sort of the mountain and vistas just sort of like sticks in your head.
yeah.
So I've generally enjoyed snowboarding games. It's just Steep I just kind of bounced off of, and I was genuinely disappointed about that. So I'm really curious to hear what you think of Riders Republic now.
Riders Republic like took the downhill experience from just snowboarding to anything that could roll down a hill, really. So like there's mountain biking, there's skiing, there's snowboarding, and I think they had that in Steep too. There's wingsuit
Yeah,
as well.
wingsuits.
As somebody that spent a good amount of time over the past couple of years working on a wingsuit, it was also something fun to see and to kind of relate to. As you would expect from a Ubisoft game, it's an open world game in which, and the open world is like a very varied environment. Like
Hmm.
there's the snowy ranges, there's the spring areas, forest area, all the mountain downhill kind of stuff. And yeah, you can choose your downhill item of choice. You go to multiple events that are scattered all over the map, and then you do the event. It could be a race, it could be a competition, it could be all sorts of stuff, and then based on your performance you collect points and stars, and you get better gear, and then you can use this better gear like a better bike or a better snowboard, and
Yeah.
that gives you stat boost that allows you to use it somewhere else. um, it is a lot of fun.
Okay.
So like it is like it really scratches that snowboardy, that downhill, like fun kind of thing that you do. So I don't do any of these things. So I did snowboarding a couple of times just to try it out, but I'm not like an active snowboarder or anything like this. So, and I definitely don't do wingsuits. Um, but that feeling, the visceral feeling of going down a hill and racing and like going through, pulling up tricks and landing those tricks, it's very satisfying. And it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And for me, it's like a perfect kind of like, I don't want to think much. I just want to jump straight into the fun kind of game.
Yeah.
And just jump in, play a bunch of races, spend a good like 20, 30 minutes, like a palate cleanser kind of game. Works perfectly for that. But I also see like there's so much content, there's so much to do. I could see, people spending dozens of hours
Yeah.
in a game like this.
No, I mean that's kind of what the promise of Steep was to me, and that didn't click for me. But I'll make sure I'll give this a go then, because it sounds like maybe just Steep evolved?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've learned a lot of what they've done in Steep, but like I said, I haven't played it, and they've
Right.
just like expanded a lot more on it with so many other things. The controls are tight, and
Okay.
you can see that the devs are kind of like they're having fun with this,
Right.
and it's like kind of close to them, so they're having fun with it as they're making it. So yeah, just a lot of fun. I think the only gripe I have against it is that there's a narrative to this game. I don't really necessarily feel that there should have been. Um,
Right.
but
It has the Forza problem where it's like it is a really good game, but then a bunch of bros keep coming in and talking about bro narrative instead of
it's exactly that. The bro
yeah.
narrative, like somebody's trying to talk in the lingo kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
I just constantly keep thinking of Steve Buscemi going like, "How you doing, fellow kids?"
Right.
it just
Yeah.
yeah, it feels unnatural for what the game is.
It's hard to. I mean, it's game development, so it must be there for a reason. But
Hmm.
I've always wondered about the reason.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
it,
Yeah, I'm excited to give it a go though.
it's a game that has a lot of attitude, and I think they tried to translate some of that attitude through the narrative, right? But it's a hit and miss. So some
Right.
lines are clever, but generally, I just want to take my bike and roll it downhill.
Right.
Like,
So really, what we need is a snowboarding game with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
oh, get those guys to write that narrative.
um. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool. Let me
Okay.
know
We're
if you check it out.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do.
Have you been
I've
playing
been.
anything?
I've been playing some games. So I played more of the 51 board games.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
And most importantly, on my birthday, I gave my dad my old Switch.
Yeah,
Because when I was a kid, my dad would play games with us all the time, right?
nice.
But at some point, he stopped because we got better than him,
Yeah.
and that's no longer fun. So, and if you're listening, Dad, like that's what happened, right? Like we can discuss about like life getting too busy, but like really, we just started beating you at the racing game. So it's been decades since he's played video games, but he was at my birthday, and I had a spare Switch because I had upgraded mine to an OLED one,
Uh-huh.
and I just decided to ask if he was interested in it, and he said, "Yeah, it's a Nintendo." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I put 2 games on it for him. I think I told this last time. I put
Mm-hmm.
Asphalt on there because he liked racing games
Yep.
back when I was younger, and I put 51 board games because it has Tola, this is
Uh-huh.
Backgammon. And that's my dad's favorite game,
Nice.
right? So we played that. We played a bunch of other games, and then this week I was visiting him, and he had set up the Switch and he had hooked it up, but he didn't quite know how to operate it. So I just sat
Mm-hmm.
down with him and like sort of like ran him through how does the Switch work, how do the controls work, how does the Joy-Con work, and I have to admit, like having done this with my mom for a PlayStation, a Switch is definitely more complicated.
Yeah.
Because you've got the Joy-Cons and they can be in different configurations. They can be 1 player, 2 player. Like, you can attach them, disattach them, remove the Switch from the dock. The PlayStation was pretty straightforward. You hold the thing and you press the buttons, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's been that was a little complicated. But then when the game started working, we played a lot of games. I played Tola with him, and he is indeed very good. Like, terrifyingly good.
Oh, nice.
Um, we played darts because there's like a little Joy-Con controlled darts game in there. He did really well at that too. So I think he's got sort of like a taste for how this works, and I hope he continues to play some games. In the meanwhile, I'll just go continue to visit, so I can explain things that he's having trouble with. But I think 51 board games might be his entry game to video games.
That's so
So
cool, man.
inshallah, we'll see.
That's
I'll
so cool.
have 2 gaming parents. And yeah, my mom is continuing on Mass Effect.
Oh, she's still in Mass Effect. Which one is she at now?
She's at 3 now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And for those of you who know the game, she's about to do Priority Rannoch, which is narratively one of the biggest missions in the entire trilogy.
Nice.
Because it's it resolves a conflict that is like set up really early in Mass Effect 1.
She's invested in the game world?
Yeah, she really loves the game world, and I think she's gotten really attached to sort of like the crew and the world and sort of the universe. Like she admits that she doesn't always like she doesn't quite know what every word means. Like
Mm-hmm.
she if somebody tells her a sorry, she's like, I think that's the blue ones,
Yeah.
right? Um, but it's hard for her to follow that amount of information. It also remains hard for her to follow conversation while she's playing,
Yeah.
which kind of just throws Guardians out of the window as a potential game for her because like 90% of that game is banter during gameplay.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, she's building up. She's building up to that conclusion of the series, and I'm really excited to hear what she thinks of it because
I saw BioWare release some statistics on N7
yeah,
Day.
yeah. I hope she hasn't looked at those because there was also some spoilers in that.
There's a
So
bunch of spoilers there.
this is pretty big spoilers in that one. So, Mom, if you're listening, don't check out whatever we were just talking about. Just finish the video game. Um, so that's been really fun. And then I've been playing Unpacking,
Uh-huh.
which is really short. It's not a big game. It's a few hours of gameplay, and it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
It is so incredibly good. Every now and then you come across a game where the concept is just it's so small,
Yeah.
but it's so right.
Yeah.
And Unpacking is about unpacking. It's about getting to a place and unpacking your boxes and putting things in the places that you want them to be. Um, and this kind of game, kind of instead of like being a game where different people unpack stuff into different houses, this is about one person sort of unpacking their lives into these spaces
Mm-hmm.
over the course of their life.
Okay.
Which means that there's a lot of unspoken narrative sort of
I
in
see.
this game,
Oh,
right?
that's very
Like
cozy.
it's so chill, it's so cozy, it's so sincere and so genuine, and so it's just a good video game. It's the kind of game that you're looking at, you're like, how did nobody make this before? Because everybody has the experience of unpacking their stuff into a space.
Yeah.
Um, and nobody made that video game, and now they have, right? And it's a flawless video game. It I've heard discussion that it overstays its welcome by like 5%, and
Mm-hmm.
I disagree.
For a short
I
game,
just
that doesn't sound like it's what is it, 7 minutes then?
right, right. But I do think that this is not a game you finish in one go. Like
Okay.
if you play a bit and then stop for a little,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have a much better time. Also, putting some time between your unpackings is really it helps sort of with what the game is.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I unpack something in the wrong location? So, like,
there
do I need to put the right things at the right places?
there's kind of some guidelines and but it's not necessarily about like doing things perfectly. It's more about just doing things.
Mm-hmm.
But it is at the heart. I guess it's a puzzle game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you want to make sure everything fits
I see.
is kind of the goal. It's very chill. There's no like rush. There's no anything. You kind of figure things out where you want them,
Mm-hmm.
and put them in places where they fit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but the sound designer on this game went all out,
Oh yeah. No, I
like
don't know. Tell
all
me more.
out. Apparently, there's like 41,000 sound effects in the game or
Oh,
something.
what?
Yeah, it's like putting there's this video going around of a player putting down a can of spray, toilet spray, and just putting it on different surfaces, and every one of them sounds different.
Okay.
Like they went all out on the sound of this game, like the act of putting something down.
Yeah.
Um, it's just that it has two. It's like border. It's gratuitous. It's too much. You look at it and you're like, are you what? Why? But then you're playing it and it's like, I get it. I get it. It makes it. This is perfect.
That's awesome. You
But
played it
also,
on
what?
what? Do you played it on what device?
I played it on Switch.
On Switch, huh? Oh, so it's on Switch.
It's on Switch.
Is it coming to Game Pass? Do you know?
Yeah, us on Game Pass, man.
Of
I
course.
think it is on Game Pass.
It is on
Yeah,
Game
I
Pass.
think it. I think it released on Game Pass too.
Ooh, I might give it a go.
I
then.
just I know the developers, and like I said at the start of the episode, right? Like
Yeah.
game developer rules. If Witchbeam, like I've played this game
Yeah.
when it was very very early. I've heard about the game,
Yeah.
so I wanted to support the devs. They're
Super cool.
good people. So
Nice, man.
yeah, what a game! What just one of those games where you play it and you just kind of sit there and you're like, yep, nope, flawless. It's flawless. It's genuinely flawless. It is what it should. It's an idea. It's a concept taken to where it should be,
Mm-hmm.
and then executed properly.
Super good. I'm gonna definitely check that out.
Yeah, for sure. And then I've downloaded Forza,
Uh-huh.
but I haven't had a chance to play Forza yet.
Yeah, I'm hearing really good things about how much is being received.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved those games, like because it's like Forza's kind of split into two series, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got Forza, and you've got Forza Horizon,
Yeah.
and they're kind of two completely different games. Like
Mhm.
Forza is a pretty serious like racing game. Forza Horizon is basically go do weird stuff with your car, right? Get a cool car, race, go fast, but also beautiful. It's basically like a fun game about visiting beautiful places. Well, Forza is more of a
Yeah.
be good at driving a car kind of
Mhm.
game, right? So I've been a huge fan of the Forza series. I don't know if people know this, but like I'm a huge racing game fan just in general,
Uh-huh.
but specifically arcade racing games. So I'm
Wow.
not a Gran Turismo kind of person. Like it's funny because a lot of people that do flight sims are also really big into car racing games. I'm not that. I'm a give me a car racing game where weird stuff is happening, right? From like I don't really count Mario Kart as a racing game. It's an arcade game.
Okay.
So that's too far away from racing as the core of the game. But like Forza, Split Second, The Crew, games like that. Like I love just a game where you can go fast and sort of like go through an environment. One of my dream games is to play a road trip game with a world like that, where you just drive through and you go from the one side of the world to the other side of the world, and you're just driving and you stop in like a little town and you say hi to people and then you drive again.
I have a game
Right?
for you called Final Fantasy 15.
I love that game is genuinely one of my favorite games of all time because it did that, right?
Yeah.
It was that feeling of like finding a little town and village and then just like walking in and like meeting the people and it was very economical. It was very well done. I want like the maximized version of that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Which
Like
is
the crew
probably
was supposed to be that to some extent.
and I really enjoyed the crew as well,
Yeah.
but you never stopped anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
There was no reason to stop. You just like kind of like
Kept going.
you pushed the accelerate button and you held the accelerate button until you went from San Francisco to New York.
Yeah.
And I've done that road trip in real life, and in real life, it's way more fun because you stop at places.
Yeah.
Not to say that the crew wasn't fun. I really, really love those games.
Yeah, those games are cool.
One more than two, but I still really loved both of them. So yeah, Forza Horizon, I'm incredibly excited. I wish Osama was here because I think he has some thoughts and things he wants to say about the game.
How do you feel about Wipeout?
I love Wipeout.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I love Wipeout because when I was a kid, I couldn't play it. And instead, there was this B game. Remember B games?
B game.
Like they were kind of like the rip-off versions of big games.
Okay.
So it wasn't like it's like you had like Wipeout, right?
Yeah.
Which was a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
And then you had like Killer Loop.
Uh-huh.
Which was basically just Wipeout, but made cheap and fast, and clearly just a ripoff of Wipeout.
I don't think
So
I
I-
ever played Killer Loop, actually.
I had Killer Loop, and then you had Destruction Derby, but then you also had Fatal Racing.
I don't know the other
Right.
one.
Right. That's the thing. Nobody knows the other ones because they were the $5 version
Uh-huh.
of the bigger games, but I could never afford the bigger games. We could never afford the bigger games. Those
Yeah,
games were expensive. They were like what, $30 or something?
they were very expensive. Yeah.
But the cheap copies, like you could get those everywhere. So for me, it was like Fatal Racing and Killer Loop, and I loved Killer Loop. But I had a friend who had Wipeout, and
Yeah.
it was clearly the better game.
Yeah. Wipeout is such a cool one, man. I always have it installed on my PlayStation. They have the remastered collection. And
I sorry,
just have it always
right.
downloaded, and whenever I just want to just listen to music and play a game, that will be the one,
Just go fast.
Just go fast and just
Yep.
shoot some fools. It's so
Yeah.
much fun.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's the sense of speed. I feel like we've lost that. Maybe I've lost that, but like the sense of like extreme speed that Wipeout had. Somehow with higher fidelity, it works less well.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it's really true. It's like that sense of like acceleration that I remember from like playing Wipeout as a kid. It's kind of gone. I wonder if it's me or the games, but
It'd be interesting to do a side by side comparison, actually,
right.
to see what it is the difference. Because for me, like a lot of these games, they're kind of like I remember them, but I haven't looked back in a while since. So
Right.
who knows?
I recently did that with Transport Tycoon, and Transport Tycoon holds up pretty well.
Man, that game had one of the most difficult to comprehend UI, probably.
Right. But also the best music.
Music is fantastic. I remember I
Which is
used
like-
to leave Transport Tycoon running all night
Yeah. Same.
so that I can make all that money from those buses. So I can
Right,
finally
yep.
build the train station.
And then you wake up the next morning and all your airplanes have crashed overnight.
Yeah,
And you're like, wait, what?
those that era of simulation games, they were closer to be a software than it is a video game, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I
But I loved
loved
it.
it for it because I felt like a grown up,
Yeah. Yeah,
playing
exactly.
Transport Tycoon. I was like, I'm doing some important stuff.
Yep, that's important. Got to make sure people get from A to B.
Yeah.
How else will the kids get to the toy store?
Yeah, I wonder what happened to that series. Last time I remember looking into it, Transport Tycoon itself became like an open source kind of thing.
Yeah, so there's this thing called Transport Tycoon Deluxe that is the sort of final version of the game that was officially released.
Yeah.
And then there's an open source simulator called OpenTTD. And OpenTTD is the easiest way you can play Transport Tycoon now, but you still need the original data files to be able to play it. So if you still have them somewhere, that's good. If you don't, then you need to get those files some way.
Yeah.
But
that's cool. That was what I was thinking about with the open source stuff, because I remember that you can still play that game in all of its original glory, and you can experience that UI for yourself one more time.
But yeah, so if you I think it's the sound or the music that you need. So I think there's also an open source graphics pack, but the sound and music are not.
Yeah.
So it's really good though. OpenTTD is on my computer at all times. But
you still play it?
I had it. Yeah, I went back into it. Like I have it on my computer always because it's just such a big part of me growing up. And StarCraft is on my computer. Every computer that I get is there. I just hadn't booted it up for a few years.
Yeah.
And a few months ago, I just kind of went like, how is Transport Tycoon?
Yeah.
And it's good.
Awesome.
So yeah. Speaking of airplanes, I did more flight training.
How's that going?
It's going really well. I was at my third lesson, and gosh, I can talk so much about this, but we don't have a lot of time left, I think. So the basic version is I did climb and descent on this exercise, and my instructor was really cool. His name is Mark. He's been great. He has the same birthday as me. I don't think if I mentioned that before.
No, we wanted to give him a birthday cake with your face on it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I did mention that.
Yeah.
But he's been really like good to train with, And so we did climb and descent, which they sound very simple, and they technically are very simple, but there are specific ways you can do them that are better and safer. So we did that. And then after we did a bunch of climb and descent, he routed me back towards the circuit, which is sort of like this imaginary racetrack around the airport that
What?
everybody uses to land.
Wow.
So there's sort of like, if you have an airport without a tower that controls how people land, instead everybody just kind of agrees on that there is an imaginary racetrack at a certain altitude, right? And at
Yeah.
the Hilversum Airport, it's 700 feet. And everybody flies that same race circuit. There's rules as to how you enter the race circuit, and there's rules about how you fly it. But because everybody's doing the same thing at the same altitude, you can just kind of focus on left and right? As you approach the race circuit, you can very clearly see who else is in it and whether you need to be careful, because there's nobody in the tower going like, hey, there's a other airplane here, right? It's
Yeah.
it's you.
You have to see it.
You have to see it. So because everybody flies that same circuit, for every landing, every takeoff, we're clear on who's in the circuit and what is happening. So when you're taking off, you can just look in the circuit and see if anybody's there, if anybody's coming for approach or for landing. So it keeps things safe, right?
Yeah.
So he routed me to the circuit and then let me fly the circuit and then let me descend and then just went like, okay, well, how about you do the landing?
Wow.
And this is
Okay.
like my third lesson. So I feel like, things are going pretty well there. He had a few small corrections and I came in a little high, but it was really fun to do a landing.
He probably
back when I
doesn't know
was
how much Flight Simulator you've been playing.
Well, by now he does, but
Okay.
yeah, apparently the climb and descent exercise went well enough that he was just like, yeah, okay, let's just do this thing, and he just kind of ran me through some of the final steps. He took care of the radio because that was too much for me, like doing landing and radio at the same time.
Yeah.
So I took care of the radio, but I did a landing, which just to emphasize, like back when I was practicing like years ago, I never did a landing without assistance.
Yeah.
So even though he was there and like giving me some hints, I was the only one with like hands on the yoke and like feet on the pedals and hand on the throttle. So
Huge milestone, man. Amazing.
it was so fun. Like takeoff, sure, that's relatively straightforward. But landing is obviously a lot of physics, so I'm really happy. I will admit my weeks have just basically become Monday,
Yeah.
then the blur of work, then Saturday for more flight training, and then Sunday for this recording.
Yeah.
That's my week. I enjoy my weeks a lot.
That's amazing, man. It's good.
Monday,
It's good to be busy.
right? Monday stuff. Saturday, Sunday. Monday. It's good. It's good.
Good. Oh man, I'm looking forward to you taking us on a spin one time.
I really hope Osama shows up now.
Very unlikely.
Right.
Very unlikely. Actually,
You think Osama is asleep?
probably. I think like it was 8 a.m. his time, but I thought he wakes up around that time today.
I thought he was a responsible man that woke up early in
By
the
the way,
day.
because he's not here, we're not going to be doing the email segment. So
But there's no email segment. We'll move
yeah,
that to next
we'll
week.
move that to next week. If you have emails for Osama to read, send them to info@habibis.com.
And then inshallah, if he's here,
And inshallah, inshallah, Osama would read them. But for today, I guess that's a wrap. Osama,
that's a wrap.
Osama is not gonna pop up last second as we all expected. But
There was hope. There was hope.
But it was fun to catch up nonetheless.
It was good to talk.
Join us next week. Hopefully, we'll have 3 Habibis for you, inshallah.
Inshallah.
But
One from Norway.
There'll be a podcast, inshallah.
And if not, malish.
And if not, Malish, what are you gonna do?
We're still good. We're 45, 44 in.
44 is pretty good. Yeah, we're still keeping it strong.
Oh, we're coming up on the 1 year.
Oh, man, yes, very close actually.
Woo.
Yeah. So I'm knocking on wood as we keep going this momentum to at least complete the year. But join us next week for the time being. Salam.
Salam.
That was the Habibis podcast for this week. I am Fawzi Masmar, your host for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at Fawzi Masmar. My fellow Habibis were Osama Dorias, who you can find on Twitter at Osama Dorias, and Rami Ismail, who you can find on Twitter at THA_Rami. Send us your questions, stories, and suggestions via info@thehabibis.com. Intro and outro music was provided by Malik Zubayla, and the logo was provided by Ibrahim Hamdi. The Habibis is a weekly podcast about 3 game developers drinking good Arab tea, with new episodes launching every Friday, inshallah. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe to your favorite podcasting service, or check out thehabibis.com for more information. Thank you for listening. Salam.